in this final section, we're going to talk about some products. But Gloria and I feel like we should remind people about the benzene scare that happened recently with BPO.
I will say, when I saw Victoria put this in the guide, I'm like, oh man, yeah, no, you're right. We should. I don't want to, but we should.
So we're not going to get too much into the details. But long story short, Valshore came out with a report. They basically did a bunch of accelerated testing at different temperatures, and they found that the benzene concentration was higher than is the actual FDA limit, which is 2 ppm. And ultimately, our issue before was that the tests that were run, they are not common temperatures that are used in accelerated testing. A lot of them are way higher than we would use. And then the actual data that we wanted to look at, the 37 degrees Celsius data, was not really shared. So that was our main issue with that. And then ultimately, with that data that was shared previously, we felt that based on the initial concentrations of benzene in these products, we weren't worried because a lot of them did fall under that limit, the FDA limit provided. So ultimately, we just want to remind everyone that we're not particularly worried because we like that most of the products that they tested at the T0 time point, they fall under the limit. The other thing is that the reason why we aren't very alarmed by this data is because the alarming parts are actually in the higher temperatures, and that basically suggests that you'd essentially have to be baking the product in order to get those higher amounts of benzene. So that's probably the only takeaway here is you can continue using BPO. It's not a problem. It will not be harmful to you. However, just keep in mind, try not to bake them or do anything that's too drastic. Leave them in a car, bake them out in the beach or anything like that. It's just, you don't need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's something else to keep in mind too, is in the Valshore test, these are store-bought. So they went to the drugstores, picked them up, and so while in the paper, they kind of expressed concerns over storage conditions and this and that. They went to a store and bought it. So the whatever storage, transportation, the products have already been through, they've already been through it. So the baseline level is not too concerning. I will say if you live in a really hot area, if you order these products online and if it sits under the sun for a little bit before you collect your package, maybe consider just going to the store, pick it up. But all in all, for products in general, just keep it cool and in a dark place and you should be fine.
And I did want to call out, there's a couple products out there that I just want to flag that they're just more commonly used. So like Galderma, Neutrogena, Differin, Panoxyl, these all at T0 were found to have very low amounts of benzene that were just not that these were all under the limit, the benzene limit. Definitely take a look at the chart yourself. There are a couple where Gloria and I are like, that starts out a little bit higher than expected.
That's a little weird.
A little strange. But those are all either, I think, prescription or just not commonly used. So there's relief there. So that's really it on the whole benzene scare there.
Cool. So let's wrap this up with some common products that we recommend. With the washes, you really have a lot of options. I think the standard here is definitely the Panoxyl 10% BPO wash. That one is classic. So I've actually used it, even though BPO does nothing for me because I don't really have acne, but I tried it before. It's okay. You get a lot of TikTok videos telling you to leave it on your face a little bit before washing off. I mean, there's some truth to that. As a rinse off, you don't have a lot of contact time with actives, but it's a 10% level. So if you just lather it slowly and real good, that should be enough. You don't have to use it like a mask. For those of you who don't want to use a 10% wash, if that's a little high for you, CeraVe has an option with 4% BPO, and the Inky list has a 5% BPO option as well for you to choose from.
There's also plenty of topicals to choose from. La Roche-Posay has a 2.5 and a 5%, and La Roche-Posay has a 5.5%, although I wanted to tell Gloria, that thing now costs $36. I do not know what happened. I do not remember BPO ever costing in the 30s, so I don't know. It's starting to get crazy. Like, prices are getting crazy. I don't understand.
Yeah. So I used to buy the Effaclar Duo, that's their BPO product for my friend when I traveled. That was not $36 what I used to buy a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I remember it being maybe like $22
It's
or something like
wild.
that.
I just after the whole sunscreen realm we did, and now getting into BPO, I'm just like shocked. I'm shocked by some of these price tags now. I know, skinflation. Yeah. So all that to say, I do want to put out there that I think where I am in my journey, I'm very much in the maintenance phase. My breakouts are sporadic. They have almost feels like no rhyme or reason. They feel stress induced, hormonal induced, probably. For where I'm at, I'm probably going to look into the 2.5% topicals and maybe the 5% BPO washes. That feels like a good starting point for me. If you're wondering in terms of where you should be starting, I think with any acne topical, starting out with less first is just better. You're most likely using other actives out there. You just don't need to immediately dive into a situation where skin is under a lot of fire. Just being able to start incrementally slower, lower, that realm is just much easier to build out a more beneficial routine than trying to go for higher. So I'd highly recommend just starting with a 2.5% topical or even just a wash to start and see how skin does with that and if it's tolerating it well. But yeah, I think that's it. Was that helpful?
That was so helpful, Victoria. Thank you very much.
All right.